My brother left a voicemail 12 years after he vanished. Now I think I know where he is, and it's not anywhere on a map. I know how this sounds. If I were reading this from someone else, I'd assume they were lying. Or grieving. Or hallucinating. Maybe all three. But I'm not. My name is Rachel Hawthorne. I'm 32 years old. And 12 years after my brother vanished without a trace, I got a voicemail from his number. He said my name. Just once. Whispered, hoarse. Then silence. Then a click. That was 2 weeks ago. Since then, I've started seeing things I can't explain. I've found pages from a journal I don't remember writing. And I've started to dream in places I've never been but always know the way out of. I've posted on a few forums under fake names, trying to get advice. But I think it's time I told the full story. Even if nobody believes me. Even if it's already too late. My brother's name was David. He was 19 when he disappeared. Smart kid. Always reading, always scribbling in notebooks. We weren't that close growing up. He was older, always a little distant, but he looked out for me. We grew up in a small town in Oregon. Nothing special. In May 2013, David went out for a hike in Silver Falls State Park. It was supposed to be a day trip. He never came back. They found his car in the lot. His backpack was inside. The trail log at the station had his name and timestamp. He signed in but never signed out. The search went on for 8 days. Dogs, volunteers, helicopters. Nothing. No trace. It was like he walked into the woods and dissolved. I was 20 at the time. A mess. Our parents didn't know how to cope. I dropped out of college that fall. Moved out of state. We all kind of scattered. The years passed. It hurt less. Or I got numb. Sometimes I even convinced myself he'd just run away. Started a new life. People do that. Right? Then, 2 weeks ago, at 2:13 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I was half asleep. Almost didn't answer. But something made me tap it. All I heard was a whisper, Rachel. The voice was hoarse. Dry. Like it hadn't spoken in years. Then silence. 5 seconds later, click. The call ended. I stared at the screen. The number was 000000000. I tried calling it back. Disconnected. Tried again. Same thing. I know what my brother's voice sounded like. I know it in my bones. It was him. Older, maybe. Tired. But him. The next day, I went to our old house. It's been empty since Mom passed in 2020. I still have the keys. I don't know what I was looking for, proof? A feeling, but I walked straight to David's room. I hadn't been in there in over a decade. It was untouched. I opened the closet. On the top shelf was a box. A notebook inside. Black cover. Spiral bound. His handwriting. The first page just said, "If I'm not me, don't trust me." The rest was a mix of drawings and notes. Strange symbols. A triangle made of spirals. Maps that made no sense. One page just had the word doorway written over and over. Another page had a list of names. Some I recognized from childhood. Some I didn't. One was circled, mine. Rachel. Scribbled in red ink, like it had been added later. Underneath, in different handwriting, I didn't follow the rules. I still don't know how the notebook got there. The house was cleaned out years ago. It wasn't there before. I'm sure of it. But now I have it. I've read it 3 times. Every time I finish, I forget parts of it. I've started recording myself reading it just so I don't lose things. The symbols show up in my dreams now. Sometimes on the wall. Sometimes carved into trees that shouldn't exist. I saw one on the bathroom mirror when the steam fogged it up. Just for a second. A spiral triangle. The same one David drew. I don't know what's happening to me. But I think he left that notebook for a reason. I think he knew this would happen. And I think the call wasn't just a warning. It was an invitation. I'm going to the last place his GPS pinged before he vanished. I'll post again when I get back. If I don't, maybe someone else can follow what I leave behind. Just don't answer calls from 00000000000. And if you do, don't say your name. I didn't think I'd be able to post again. Not because I was hurt, at least, not in a physical way, but because I don't think I'm the same person I was before I went there. This is Rachel. At least, that's still the name I answer to. I made it to Silver Falls State Park 3 days ago. I brought David's notebook, a GoPro, a flashlight, and a recorder. I didn't tell anyone I was going. I didn't want anyone trying to stop me. I followed the exact trail David took back in 2013. GPS records placed him near the Winter Falls Loop before his signal dropped off. It was cold. Overcast. The woods felt wrong. Too still. Like the silence was intentional. I found a side trail, unmarked, just like in his notebook. A hand-drawn map matched perfectly. I walked it. It should have looped back around, but it didn't. After 40 minutes, I realized I wasn't on any official trail. I should have turned back. But I kept going. I found the clearing just before sundown. A small patch of dirt, flattened like something heavy had landed there. The trees around it were bent outward, away from the center. And at the far end was a structure I can't explain. It wasn't built. It wasn't natural. It just was. A doorway made of stone and iron, freestanding, no wall attached. Just a frame. Carvings all around the edges, symbols like the ones from David's notebook. The spiral triangle was etched at the top, about where a lintel would be. I don't remember pulling out the recorder. But I have the audio. I played it back yesterday. You can hear me breathing, then whispering, it's humming. Then, silence. Then, faintly, someone whispering my name again. I swear it was David. But the voice came from behind the door. I didn't walk through it. I couldn't. My legs wouldn't move. I think something wanted me to. I felt it pulling, not physically, but in my thoughts. Like a memory trying to rewrite itself. I turned and ran. I don't remember getting back to my car. I woke up in the driver's seat with the recorder in my lap. It was 3:19 a.m. My phone was dead. My GoPro was gone. I should have driven home then. Instead, I sat in the parking lot and flipped through David's notebook again. And I found something I swear wasn't there before. A new page. Same handwriting. It said, "You got close. Be careful." It remembers you now. I'm not crazy. I know how that sounds. But the ink was wet. Still drying. I've started seeing flashes out of the corner of my eye. Shapes. Rooms that aren't real. I woke up this morning with dirt under my nails and no idea why. Something is happening. Something I don't understand. But I'm starting to think David didn't vanish. I think he's still there. On the other side of that doorway. And I think he wants me to find him. But I'm scared that if I do, I won't come back as me. I've barely slept since I posted last. I keep hearing footsteps in my apartment, even when I know I'm alone. Lights flicker. Electronics turn on and off by themselves. The voice recorder from the hike, I've played it a dozen times now. Every time I listen, the audio changes slightly. At first, I thought it was just paranoia. But then I noticed words being added. Not background noise words. Like someone was editing the file while it was sitting in my drawer. Yesterday, a new phrase whispered at the end, "You've seen it too." I checked the file's properties. The last modified date was 6 years ago. None of this makes sense, I know. But I can't ignore it anymore. I've started losing time. 2 nights ago, I blinked and it was 3 hours later. I was standing in the hallway of my apartment, holding David's notebook, barefoot, even though I'd gone to bed. My front door was unlocked. Inside the notebook, new pages are showing up. I flipped to the back last night and found a map of a house I've never seen before. Not a sketch, a detailed blueprint, complete with room dimensions and handwritten notes. One room was labeled the hallway. Another just said, "Do not open." I cross-referenced the layout with satellite maps and building records. It's real. The house is in Sheridan, Oregon. Foreclosed. Boarded up. Last occupied in 2013, the same year David disappeared. I drove out there today. The outside is nothing special. Old wood. Faded paint. But the moment I stepped on the porch, the air changed. Denser. Like walking underwater. Inside, it smelled like rotten ozone. The floorboards groaned in patterns. The entire first floor was dust-covered, empty. But then I found the hallway. It was exactly where the map said it would be. A narrow corridor, too long for the size of the house. At least 30 feet. No lights. No windows. Just a door at the far end, black, unmarked. As soon as I stepped toward it, I heard a whisper again, "Rachel." I froze. My flashlight flickered and died. I swear I felt something behind me, like breath on my neck. I didn't open the door. I couldn't. My hand refused to turn the knob. But I got close enough to see that something was moving underneath the doorframe. A shadow? A ripple? I don't know. I ran out of the house and didn't stop until I was back on the main road. I recorded everything. Audio, video, GPS. When I got home and plugged in the memory card, every file was corrupted. Every single one. Except a single photo I don't remember taking, the black door, half open, with someone standing just beyond it. I can't make out the face. It's blurry, distorted, like motion blur, except nothing else in the image is moving. It's just that person. And something tells me it isn't David. I don't know if I'm going back. But the notebook has a new page now. Just one line, "If it opens, don't look inside." This will be my last post. Or maybe it won't. I'm not sure who I'll be when this is over. If anyone finds this, if you've read everything up until now, don't go looking. Not for me. Not for David. And definitely not for the door. It opened last night. I wasn't at the house. I was in my apartment. Sleeping, I think. Or dreaming. But I woke up standing in that hallway. Barefoot again. My hands were smeared with black dust. The door was open. Just a crack. But that was enough. Light poured through, not yellow, not white. More like the color your eyes see when they're closed too long. The smell hit me first, burning soil, wet stone, and something sweet, like rotting fruit. I should have run. But the voice called to me. Not David's. Not anymore. It said, "It's your turn." I stepped inside. I remember walking through what looked like a room that was also a forest, but upside down, trees growing from the ceiling, roots crawling across glass that reflected nothing. I remember hearing a heartbeat that wasn't mine. I remember walls that whispered things about me I've never told anyone. And then I found him. David. Or what's left of him. He looked the same and not the same. Older. Thin. Pale like marble. Eyes too wide, too awake. He didn't speak. He just touched my arm and handed me his notebook. The original one. Not the one I've been reading. That one was mine. The ink matches my handwriting. The symbols, the warnings, I wrote them. Or will write them. I don't know anymore. Time works differently there. The place isn't a prison, it's a loop. A siphon. It feeds on curiosity, on memory. I think David was the first to break through, and I was the first to come looking. Which means I'm the last. There's no escape. Not really. But there's a choice. You either become part of the loop, or you become its voice. The whisper on the phone. The scribble in the margins. The cold breath behind someone else's neck. I chose the latter. I'm writing this from a motel somewhere near Salem. I don't remember driving here. The sun hasn't come up, but the sky's a color I've never seen before. The notebook is gone. My phone only has one contact now, 000000000. I think I'm supposed to make the call this time. To someone else. To bring them in. But I won't. I refuse. I'm going to burn this account, wipe the drives, and disappear. If you're reading this and you ever hear your name whispered from an empty line, do not respond. Don't answer. Don't speak. Because once you do, it knows you. And once it knows you, it doesn't let go.